What's up, y'all? Welcome to the channel. This is your boy Amit, and today we are going to look at how to create your army of agents for any kind of research using PaperClip. I'm going to use this video to show you how I'm going to set up my army of agents to do research for the topic of OpenClaw and PaperClip because I don't have enough time in the day to do that research. So let's put these agents to work and let's get started. My goal with this video today is to show you the art of possible with PaperClip. The biggest thing to unlock here for you is think of this or OpenClaw or any other AI agentic tool as a one-to-many relationship where you can spawn as many AI agents as your heart desires or your wallet can withstand. So with that, this is the Paperclip repo. I'll drop every single link in the description so you can check it out. So go and install PaperClip. If you haven't done this, I'll link to my previous video that walks you through the step-by-step of installing PaperClip. We are not going to do that today. This video's purpose is to show you how to best set up your skill file, your soul file, and all the other files for your agents. Now remember, this is similar to OpenClaw where you are going to slowly train your agent and all your other agents. So you will be in the loop in the beginning before you can remove that human from the loop. Now, before we continue building the agent workflow, let me just show you some of the core concepts of PaperClip. At its core, it's a AI orchestration platform that allows you to hire multiple AI agents and give them duties, responsibilities, all that fun stuff. And we're going to get into all of that. But let's look at this core concept here, right? The zero human company promise. That's what PaperClip brings. Is it truly zero human? Yes, the product is, but you're still the human in the loop who's creating all of that. So maybe a little misnomer, but it's a catchy thing. And that's where we're all trying to head, right? The orchestration layer is in there where agents talk to each other and then they finally finish the task that you had given them and give you a final report. And then it's a goal-driven system, so you have to define the goals and give it to your CEO who can then pass it over to the agents. As far as the organizational structure, you, the humans, are the founders and the board. So we can set the budgets of how much this agent is allowed to spend. We can also approve or reject hires, how to override the CEO's strategy. So the board has the power to do that. And then a dashboard for us to monitor all of it. Then we have our CEO agent whose job is to take care of the other agents. So the CEO will talk directly to you, i.e. the founder. But the CEO can also act as a quality control gate. It will delegate the tasks that you create. We're going to look at all of that in a few minutes. You can add feedback loops so that the CEO is not just creating busy work. And then the pre-creation gate. The pre-creation gate is part of CEO's heartbeat.md. And what it does is essentially creates this checklist that the CEO must answer before creating or delegating all the tasks. The CEO's job is to eliminate busy work. You don't want your agents just running for the sake of running and burning up all your tokens. Also, there shouldn't be any duplicate work. So it references the project inventory MD file to make sure there is no duplicate work. And if there is, then the CEO's job is to stop it. And then also prevent vague assignments. And how it does is by allowing the CEO to force clearly defined goals. You've heard of SMART goals, maybe specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timeline goals. So something like that. So that's your CEO. And then comes the worker agent. And these are the agents that you're going to spawn. And again, like I said in the beginning of the video, the one biggest unlock that I hope you take away from this video is there's no limit. The limit is by the limit of your imagination or the budget constraint that you might have on token usage. So those are the only limits that you should be thinking of, not the number of agents you can deploy. I was recently at an OpenClaw event and one of the presenters had 20 AI agents doing all sorts of research for a single goal, which is to predict the price of Bitcoin. You know how smart these AI systems are. So can you imagine 20 of them referencing different sources just to figure out the price of Bitcoin? So again, The agents are limited by your imagination or your budget and nothing else. That being said, you don't want agents just for the sake of having 100 agents or 1,000 agents. Each agent should have a purpose, which brings me to my next point is the architecture of how I'm going to set up this company. Now, here's the architecture for this workflow that I'm going to use today to try to set up my company that sole purpose is to do research on what YouTube content I should create based on PaperClip and OpenClaw. Those are the only two things that I want to focus on for my YouTube channel. So if those are the things that you are searching for, then I highly encourage you to subscribe to this channel. So this is the structure that I'm building. Of course, I'm the founder and then I have my CEO. So this CEO's job is to delegate all the work. Then its job is to also be the quality gate. So check the quality of the work before it comes to me. And then below the CEO sits our QA engineer. So before it even hits the CEO, the workers are going to report to the QA engineer who will QA all of their work, then feed it to the CEO. So I have that one level of check, and then the CEO becomes the second level of check before I can step in and check the work. Then we have our agents who will be doing separate research and then reporting all of that to our QA engineer. And all of these are named after planets, in case you're wondering what all these names are. The lesser known planets of our solar system. So Sedna is in charge of Twitter search, QR is in charge of Reddit search, Pick, YouTube search, Eris is going to search GitHub, and Huema is going to search Google Trends. So that's the base architecture. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and build it. So what I have done is I've asked Claude, and I will put all these files in the description. I'll upload them to Google Drive. So if you want to not create your files from scratch, you can just copy paste these and make your changes to make them your own. Or you can also check out betterskillsmd.com where you can generate your own skill files and all these other files. That being said, we're not going to look at all of these in detail, but what I wanted to show you is this new addition, which is the project inventory file and what exactly it does. So in my case, the project inventory file says this is maintained by Ceres, who's our CEO. The mission is to research video content ideas about OpenClaw and PaperClip to help the founder, me, grow my YouTube channel. Ceres must read this file before delegating any work, no exceptions. So every time the CEO has to delegate something, the CEO has to look at the file and be reminded, what the heck am I doing here? Then it also tracks every deliverable produced by the operation. All research briefs are about OpenClaw and PaperClip only, so that these agents are not going rogue, researching random topics that I don't care about. And then it tells them what are the target tools to use. One of them was the GitHub repo URL. So I've already updated the .md file with those repos. And that's one of the things, right? If there are changes happening to these repos, which is a lot, if we go look at PaperClip's repo and go up here, you'll see there has been 1,641 changes so far. So if new changes are happening, maybe that can be the content that I need to talk about. That's why the GitHub URLs are in there. Then here's the agent roster and budget status. I haven't set the budget yet. That I'll do in the dashboard later. And this wasn't a feature that was there before, so I'm also curious to check it out. And then founders, corrections, and standing orders. So I can go and edit the project inventory MD file and add my own notes. And what happens is, it says here, the founders' corrections are law. So once I log a correction or an update in there, that becomes the new directive for my CEO. And before we begin, the last thing I want to talk about is the anti-pattern log. What those anti-patterns log is, let's head over to our soul.md file to show you. So these are the things that the CEO must never do and its team of agents should never do. And some of these are forwarding raw agent output without review, because then I'm doing the review and that makes this whole process not work. Also creating tasks when agents are idle, that's busy work. It's going to eat up token. We don't want that. Also reporting tasks as done without verifying it. That's why we have our QA layer in there as well. Now, to get started with PaperClip, you just need to have this one-line prompt in your terminal. And I already have my YouTube Content Explorer folder here. So I'm going to start that at start the terminal window at that folder, paste that command in there, and that brings me to my Paperclip dashboard. If this is your first time doing it, you're going to have to go through the onboarding process. I'll link to that video. If you haven't checked that out, check it and start with your Paperclip onboarding. So I already have a few companies here. Let's create this new one. Here's my company's mission. So I'm going to copy this and paste it in the mission goal, which is optional for now, but again, available for you to do. We're going to use Claude local agent, but if you want, you can use Codex, you can use any of these, and we'll use the default model. Now it's going to run a test on that environment to make sure Claude is installed. Before it even does that, let's go back to our terminal. And what I'm going to do in that terminal is make sure that Claude is installed, because it's going to use that local Claude installation from your terminal to connect Paperclip with Claude. All right, Claude is now in there. So let's go ahead and use that and hit the test button. So now Paperclip is running locally on my machine. So is Claude. So it's going to go run that test. Test passes. We're good. Let's move on to the next step. Now comes the first task that we would give our CEO. Typically, this used to be hiring the founding engineer, but we are going to set it up so that we can do everything that we already have in Claude that we have outlined. All right, we have put Claude to work. And one thing to note before I continue is this isn't going to happen overnight. I have iterated with Claude for hours to set this up based on how much your LLM knows about you. It might be easy, it might be hard, depending on what you're trying to achieve here. So don't think that you're going to set this up and be up and running with it in a day. It might take days, it might take weeks. Maybe it'll take just hours. All depends on your availability. Don't rush it just for the sake of spinning something up. You want to get it right and set it up for success, just like you would do if you were creating a net new company in the real world. You would hire the CEO after hours of research and interviewing, and then that CEO would hire staff in the same way. That same applies here. So here's our first task: to launch the Ceres operation. And then actually, I'm going to use this as the task title. And then here's our description. This is your first order, hire your team, blah, blah, blah. What I expect back from you: a single complete video research brief that tells me, etc., etc. We have our success criteria and the final message: the solar system is yours. We have our company created, our LLM connected, and our first task. Let's hit it and see what happens. This is your first time doing it. Errors are very common. Issues getting blocked is very common. So just bear with it. Whatever error you see, put it in Gemini, put it in, feed all the GitHub paperwork to your favorite LLM, then put that error in there and see what that error is about. Don't give up. It's worth it. So while this task is running, a couple of things to show you here. One is I've installed a plugin in Claude called Claude Mem, and this kind of keeps tracks of everything that you're doing. I'll put the GitHub link in the description. Worth it to just download this plugin, and this way you have an audit file of everything that's happening. Second, when you're in here, you can click this little arrow to go look at the task in real time and see what the CEO is doing. Essentially, what is happening is a bunch of commands are being sent to Claude, and Claude is then trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do? And then sending it back to Paperclip. So all of that is happening on your local machine. And if we go to Claude now and look at the usage, you can see right now I'm at 0% usage. Once this is done, our agents are running, we can come back and check those usages. Back to Paperclip, I can see that the CEO was woken because of my task. It says, this is a big task. I'm the CEO of a YouTube content research operation. The tasks ask me to do all of this. So I'm going to go and do it. And it's now going to continue doing it. While it's doing that, I can go to my onboarding and look at that issue right there. I can also change it to Kanban to see the different statuses that the issues are in. Then here's that new budget thing. So I can set my lifetime budget for this project right here. So let's say I want to use no more than $50 for this project. That will be the lifetime budget for the project. Our CEO has finished his first run. However, before we continue, what I want to show you here is that When you go to onboarding for this specific project, go to its configuration, you will see the local folder. And this is the folder that PaperClip is using. Now you can change it. You can set another local folder. But if you want to navigate to this .paperclip folder, you can open up your Finder window and then do Command Shift G. And then I'm going to search for that .paperclip folder. Since it's a hidden folder, you're not going to find it. And then from here, I can go to the instances, go to the projects. And this is the project that it's added all the files in. So I can see all my agents have been created here and so have my files. Now I can go and edit these files. Before I do that, I want to go to inbox and show you what happens next. Now, all of these agents are sitting here for me to approve them. Before I do approve them, I will go back to the issues and you can see that this issue is showing blocked. And that's because I have to approve all the hires. So here it says phase 1 complete, phase 2 blocked on board approval. Board must approve all 6 hires before I can proceed to phase 3, which is dispatching for research. Now, before I do that, what I want to make sure is that my CEO has seen the updated project files. So if I currently open my project inventory file, it's not going to be the same that I got from Claude. So this is what my current project inventory markdown file looks like. But if I go to Claude, our project inventory file looks way different. So what I can do is I can either copy paste those files and overwrite these, or open the contents of them and copy and paste the contents in here. I have updated all the markdown files in the project folder. Can you read them and confirm that you have seen the changes? Again, you can open the run, look at it, but while it's doing that, the latest thing that has been released in PaperClip is cron jobs. So I can go into routines here. You can see that one is in beta. And I can create a new routine. You can give it a title, assign it to CEO or one of your other agents. Now I haven't approved them yet, so I can't really assign it to them, and choose the project. So in my case, it's the onboarding project. And then you add your instructions, and there's advanced delivery settings that we're going to skip for this video. But what happens is once you create the routine, after you create it, you can go to the schedules, the webhooks, the internal runs, all of that can be done after the routine has been created. So just keep that in mind. So for now, I'm going to cancel. I see in my dashboard, I have a new message. So if you look at the last comment, it says confirmed. All 5 files read and internalized. I've read and updated the agents to a 2-layer quality gate, no shortcuts, 3-layer architecture, command execute QA. Pre-creation gate, 4 questions, perfect. Hard limits set per agent, flag at 75%, auto pause at 100%, pause equals correctly, working correctly. Then here's our GitHub repo URLs. All 6 hires are submitted and pending for board approval. Now let's go and hire our team. So all I need to do is go in and approve every single one of them. I know that I've already done my job in those markdown files. And before you add those markdown files, make sure that you have done your thorough reading of every single word in that markdown file, because even a single word could mess up your entire operation. So all those things are approved now. This task, instead of being paused or blocked for my approval, should be back in progress. I can go back to issues and see that now it's running again. While that's running, now that I have hired all of these agents, I can go to my company org and look at the org structure. What's cool is I can also import and export these companies. And then when we were setting this up, I had talked about how you can connect your OpenClaw to PaperClip. So if you go to your settings for your company, not on the project level, but on the company level, you will see generate OpenClaw invite prompt. And that invite prompt, you just need to go and paste into your OpenClaw to connect the two. And that's something we're not going to do in this video. That will be in a future video. For now, let's go to our onboarding, see what's going on. This is showing block. So let me see what's the next step. Okay, it says ready to proceed the moment you approve all hires. If I scroll down here, you can see all the linked approvals have been approved. So I'm not sure why this is still sitting in blocked. I have approved all the hires. Why is this still blocked? Looks like it might have fallen asleep because it says new heartbeat. Let me check wake context and see if any approvals have come through. Woken by another comment. Let me read it. All right, it's going to do its thing. Read my comment and then we'll figure out what's the next step. And the CEO's response to my comment: the board is right, agents delivered and I should have picked it up. Let me check the subtask statuses and get moving. It says it could be a heartbeat issue, but right now the priority is collecting the deliverables. So the CEO then assigned all of those tasks to Orcus for QA, and now Orcus is doing the QA. Again, as all of this is happening, your usage is going to get consumed. There is no other way around it. Now I'll pause this video, wait for QA to do its thing, and then we'll resume. Orcus has done its run. It's actually still running, but it's pretty much done most of it. So I can go here and see that all of the assigned tasks were completed. The one that's running is doing the final review for the CEO. So you can see here, it commented back on our original PAP1 issue that these tasks have all passed with notes. These are the findings. Overall assessments, all reports pass QA. The research team produced honest, well-sourced deliverables with transparent acknowledgement of limitations. GitHub is the strongest report with directly verifiable claims. Sedna and QR faced platform-level verification barriers with X and Reddit block automation, but handle this honestly. All research is cleared for the CEO to compile the final brief. And then the CEO has also compiled the final brief. So if I go in my inbox, I can see that the CEO just commented. And if we go to that comment, it's right here. Paperclip research complete. The first research cycle is fully done. And here's our video research brief. And our first recommended angle is OpenClaw plus Paperclip build a zero human AI company. The combined keyword has zero video competition on YouTube and Google. Confidence is high, strong signals across all platforms. Window is narrow, fewer than 5 dedicated Paperclip videos exist despite 34,000 GitHub stars. First video to own the Paperclip OpenClaw combined keyword will likely capture the empty Google video carousel, so maybe that's coming next. And then the pipeline was 5 research agents delivered, 5 QA verified, Ceres quality gate passed, self-check passed, project inventory.md was updated. All right, and then we have some open questions. For my next video, what we're going to do is hit number 5, start continuous GitHub monitoring for both repos, and we are going to look at routines and how to use routines in Paperclip to set up cron jobs. And folks, there you have it, paperclip.ing, zero human AI company. Hire as many AI agents as your wallet can afford. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one. And until next time, keep prompting.